My name is Audrey Whitmore. I'm 29 years old. 3 years ago, I stood in a ballroom filled with 400 people. My father raised his champagne glass, looked directly at me, and laughed.
Your brother is a doctor? He saves lives. What are you? Audrey is someone who draws pretty pictures of buildings.
The room erupted in laughter. 400 people, not one of them stood up for me. Last Monday, I walked into that same hospital's boardroom. 12 board members, my father among them. I placed a single document on the table. His face went white. This hospital is under new ownership, I said, and it's getting a new name. But here's what my father never knew. Grandma Eleanor had been watching. For 25 years, she saw everything. Every insult, every dismissal, every time he made me feel invisible. And in her will, she left me something that would destroy everything he thought he owned. Before I tell you what happened next, please take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy this story. Also, I'd love to know where you're watching from and what time it is there. Drop a comment below. Now let me take you back to where it all started. I grew up in Portland, Oregon, the kind of place where everyone knows your family name before they know yours. And in Portland, the Whitmore name meant something. My grandfather, Harold Whitmore, founded Whitmore Memorial Hospital in 1965. At least that's what everyone believed. That's the story my father told at every dinner party, every fundraiser, every chance he got.
My father built this hospital from nothing,
He'd say,
and I've dedicated my life to honoring his legacy.
what he never mentioned was my grandmother, Eleanor Whitmore, the woman who actually drew the blueprints, the woman who secured the investors, the woman who spent 18-hour days turning a patch of land into a 200-bed medical facility. But I didn't know that yet. Not then. All I knew was that in the Whitmore family, there was a very clear hierarchy. At the top, my father, Richard, hospital director, the man whose face hung in the lobby right next to grandfather's portrait. Next, my mother, Patricia, a woman whose entire identity revolved around one thing, being the wife of a hospital director and the mother of a future surgeon. Then my brother, Marcus, 4 years older than me, the golden child, the heir apparent, the one who would carry on the Whitmore medical legacy. And at the bottom, so far down, I might as well have been invisible me. Audrey, the girl who liked to draw. From the moment Marcus showed an interest in biology, my parents' world revolved around him. His science fair projects got professional-grade supplies. His tutors cost $400 an hour. His bedroom was converted into a study space with a $3,000 desk and medical textbooks lining the walls. I had a folding table in the corner of the basement, a lamp I bought at a garage sale for $5, and a sketchbook I hid under my mattress because my mother said drawing was a waste of time. When I was 16, I entered a national architecture competition. 5,000 students from across the country. I spent 8 months on my design, a community health center that integrated green spaces with patient recovery areas. I won first place. The prize was a $10,000 scholarship and a feature in Architectural Digest's Young Innovators issue. I ran home that day, clutching the letter, my heart pounding so hard I could barely breathe. My father was in his study. I knocked. He didn't look up. Dad, I won. The national competition. First place, out of 5,000 people. He kept reading his newspaper. 7 seconds of silence. I counted.
That's nice.
He turned the page.
But drawing buildings isn't a real skill, Audrey. It's a hobby. When are you going to focus on something that matters?
I stood there, the letter trembling in my hands. I got a scholarship. $10,000. He finally looked up, but not with pride, with something closer to pity.
Your brother just got accepted into the pre-med program at Oregon State. We're taking him to dinner at the Heathman to celebrate. You can come if you want, but don't make it about yourself.
I went to my room. I didn't go to dinner. That night, I found my competition entry in the kitchen trash can. My mother had thrown it away while cleaning. She didn't even know what it was. Or maybe she did and just didn't care. I fished it out at 2 a.m, smoothed the wrinkles, and hid it under my mattress with everything else I'd learned to protect from them. The difference between Marcus and me was never subtle. It was designed to be obvious. When Marcus got a C in biology during his sophomore year, my parents hired a private tutor and blamed the teacher.
The curriculum isn't challenging enough for someone of Marcus's caliber,
My mother said at the parent-teacher conference. When I got straight A's, including advanced placement courses in art, mathematics, and physics, my mother's only comment was,
"Why aren't you taking any science classes? Don't you want to be useful?"
I was useful, just not in the way they could see. The summer before senior year, Marcus took the MCAT. He scored in the 65th percentile. Average! Nothing special. My parents threw a party. 25 guests. A catered dinner that cost $3,000. My father gave a toast.
To my son who will one day save lives and carry on the Whitmore legacy.
That same summer, I was accepted into the Yale School of Architecture. Full scholarship. One of only 12 students nationwide to receive the Eleanor Raymond Fellowship, named after one of the first female architects in America. I told my parents at breakfast. My mother was reading a magazine. My father was checking his phone. I got into Yale, I said. Full ride, the Eleanor Raymond Fellowship.
Architecture. That's across the country.
It's Yale, Mom.
Nobody gets rich drawing houses, Audrey.
She flipped a page.
And we're not paying for something that won't lead to a real career.
I have a full scholarship. You don't have to pay anything. My father finally spoke, still looking at his phone.
Fine. Do what you want, but don't come crying to us when it doesn't work out.
That was it. That was my celebration. No party. No toast. No catered dinner. Just a cold kitchen, a mother who wouldn't look at me, and a father who had already moved on to his next email. 2 weeks later, Marcus got his medical school acceptance letter. A mid-tier program. Nothing prestigious, but it didn't matter. My father bought him a Rolex Submariner, $12,000, engraved on the back to the future Dr. Whitmore, the first of many generations. I got a text message from my mother. Don't forget to pack warm clothes. Connecticut gets cold. That was the day I stopped expecting anything from them. I learned to celebrate quietly, to need less, to take up less space. I told myself it didn't matter. I almost believed it. But somewhere deep inside, a small voice kept asking, why wasn't I enough? I didn't know it then, but that summer would change everything. Yale was supposed to be my escape. And for a while it was. I thrived there. For the first time in my life, people looked at my work and saw value. Professors encouraged me. Classmates respected me. I won 2 more design competitions in my first year alone. But back home, nothing changed. I called every Sunday. My mother would talk for 45 minutes about Marcus, his rotations, his professors, his brilliant bedside manner. Then she'd ask almost as an afterthought.
So how's school?
Before I could answer, she'd interrupt.
Oh, your father needs the phone. We'll talk later.
We never talked later. During my junior year, something happened that showed me exactly where I stood in my family's eyes. Marcus called me on a Tuesday night. This was unusual. Marcus never called me. In 3 years at Yale, I could count our phone conversations on one hand.
Audrey, I need your help.
His voice was strange. Tight. Almost scared. What's wrong?
I'm in trouble. Financial trouble. I need $80,000.
I almost laughed. Marcus. I'm a college student. I work part-time at the campus bookstore. I make $11 an hour.
I know. I'm not asking you for money. I need you to not tell Mom and Dad what it's for.
What is it for? Silence. Then,
I got into some gambling, online poker. I thought I could win it back, but
$80,000. Lost to online poker. Marcus, you need help. Not just money, actual help.
I don't need a lecture, Audrey. I need you to keep your mouth shut. Dad's going to give me the money. I told him it's for a research opportunity, a special fellowship program.
You're lying to them.
I'm protecting them from information they don't need. There's a difference.
I wanted to say no. I wanted to tell him that lying was wrong, that he needed to face consequences, that maybe this was a wake-up call. But I also knew what would happen if I said anything. My parents would never believe me over Marcus. They'd say I was jealous, bitter, trying to sabotage my brother's career. So I stayed quiet. And my father wrote Marcus a check for $80,000 within 48 hours. No questions asked. No verification of this supposed fellowship. Just blind, unconditional trust. 6 months later, I needed money. Not $80,000. Not even close. I needed $3,000 to purchase specialized design software for my thesis project. The program was industry standard, required by my professors, and not covered by my scholarship. Without it, I couldn't complete my final year. I called home. My mother answered.
$3,000.
She said it like I'd asked for a kidney.
For a computer program.
It's required for my thesis. I can't graduate without it.
Can't you use the computers at school?
The school doesn't have this software. That's why I need to buy it.
Audrey, money doesn't grow on trees. You chose this hobby. You need to figure it out yourself.
Mom, you gave Marcus $80,000 6 months ago. Silence. Cold, sharp silence.
That was different. That was for his medical career. His future.
She sighed.
What you're doing. It's just not the same.
She hung up. I didn't call back. Instead, I got 3 jobs. I worked at the campus bookstore during the day. I tutored high school students in math 3 nights a week. And on weekends, I waitressed at a diner 2 miles from campus. For 2 years, I slept 4 hours a night. I ate ramen and instant oatmeal. I lost 15 pounds because I couldn't afford groceries. But I bought that software. I finished my thesis, and I graduated summa cum laude from Yale School of Architecture. No one from my family came to graduation. My mother said she had a migraine. My father had important meetings. Marcus didn't even bother with an excuse. My grandmother wanted to come. Eleanor called me 2 weeks before the ceremony, her voice warm and proud.
I'll be there, sweetheart. I wouldn't miss it for the world.
But 3 days before graduation, she fell and broke her hip. She was 81 years old. Flying across the country wasn't possible. She sent me flowers instead. A massive bouquet of white roses with a card that read, "I am so proud of you, my Audrey. You did this on your own. Never forget that. Love, Grandma Eleanor." I kept that card in my wallet for years. After graduation, I moved to New York. Got an entry-level position at a mid-sized architecture firm. The starting salary was $42,000 a year. In Manhattan, that meant a studio apartment the size of a closet and a diet of instant noodles. But I was free. Or so I thought. 2 months into my new job, my parents called. Both of them. Together. This had never happened before.
Audrey, we need you at the annual hospital fundraiser.
This was my father's biggest event. 350 guests. Black tie. Silent auction. A celebration of Whitmore Memorial Hospital, and more importantly, a celebration of my father. Why do you need me there? You've never asked before. My mother's voice was honey-coated steel.
Because we're a family. Audrey, we need to present a united front. The Hendersons will be there. Their daughter just got engaged to a surgeon. It would look bad if our daughter wasn't present.
So that's what I was. Not a Yale graduate. Not an architect at a New York firm. Just a prop. A visual accessory to complete the family portrait. But I went because some part of me still hoped. Still believed that maybe if I showed up, if I tried hard enough, they would finally see me. The ballroom was stunning. Crystal chandeliers, white tablecloths, a string quartet in the corner. My father stood at the podium beaming.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight. I'm honored to introduce my family. My beautiful wife, Patricia.
He paused for dramatic effect.
And my son, the future chief of surgery at Whitmore Memorial, Dr. Marcus Whitmore.
Applause. Standing ovation. Camera flashes. My father smiled at the crowd.
Marcus represents the next generation of Whitmore excellence, the future of this hospital, the future of our family legacy.
He didn't mention me. I stood at the back of the room holding a glass of champagne I hadn't sipped, waiting for my name. It never came. After 30 minutes, a woman approached me. "Excuse me, are you with the catering staff? We need more napkins at table 12. I looked down at my black dress. Simple. Professional. Apparently invisible. "No," I said quietly. "I'm Richard Whitmore's daughter." The woman blinked. "Oh, I didn't know he had a daughter." Neither did he, I thought. Neither did he. I told myself I didn't need their validation. But there was one person who saw me. Really saw me. Grandma Eleanor was different from everyone else in my family. She never asked why I wasn't pursuing medicine. She never compared me to Marcus. She never made me feel like I was taking up space that wasn't mine. When I was 7 years old, she took me to the Portland Art Museum. Just the 2 of us. We spent 4 hours looking at buildings and paintings, cathedrals, palaces, tiny cottages in the countryside.
You have an eye for structure.
She said, squeezing my hand.
Most people look at a building and see walls. You see bones. You see how things hold together.
I didn't understand what she meant then, but I never forgot it. Throughout my childhood, Grandma Eleanor was my refuge. When my parents forgot my 13th birthday, they were too busy planning Marcus's medical school visit. She drove 3 hours to take me out for ice cream and a movie. When I won my first architecture competition at 16, and my father threw my entry in the trash, she was the one who called me that night.
I saw the article online. She said, "First place, out of 5,000 students. Audrey, do you have any idea how extraordinary that is?"
I was crying too hard to answer.
Listen to me.
Her voice was firm but gentle.
Your father can't see your value because He's looking through the wrong lens. But I see you. I've always seen you.
Those words kept me alive through the hardest years. When I was 25, everything changed. I was living in New York, working 60-hour weeks at the architecture firm, slowly climbing the ladder. Then I got a call from my mother.
Your grandmother fell. She broke her hip. She's in the hospital.
My heart stopped. Is she okay? Which hospital? I'll fly out tonight.
There's no need for that.
My mother's voice was clipped, impatient.
Marcus is handling everything. He's a doctor, after all. He knows what she needs.
Mom, I want to be there.
Audrey, she's going to need rehabilitation for at least 3 months. Someone needs to help her at home. Marcus is too busy with his residency. Your father and I have obligations. So,
She let the sentence hang. I understood. You want me to move back to Portland, to take care of her.
will you just draw pictures? You can do that anywhere, can't you?
I should have been angry. I should have told her that my job wasn't just drawing pictures, that I was working on a $30 million hospital renovation project, that I had responsibilities and deadlines and a career that mattered. But this was Grandma Eleanor, the only person who had ever truly seen me. I'll be there in 2 days, I said. I took a leave of absence from my firm, rented a small apartment 3 blocks from Grandma's house in Portland's Pearl District. And for the next 3 months, I became her primary caregiver. Every morning, I helped her with physical therapy exercises. Every afternoon, I prepared her meals and made sure she took her medications. Every evening, we sat together in her living room talking. Those conversations changed everything I thought I knew about my family. It started on a rainy Tuesday night. Grandma was looking at an old photo album. She stopped at a black and white image of a building under construction.
Do you know what this is?
She asked. I leaned closer. The structure looked familiar. Is that the hospital? She nodded.
Whitmore Memorial, 1965. The year it was built.
Grandpa's hospital. She laughed. Soft, but with an edge I'd never heard before.
Is that what they tell you?
That's what Dad always says, that Grandpa Harold built it from nothing. Grandma Eleanor set down the album. Her eyes met mine. Clear, sharp, full of something that looked like decades of silence finally breaking.
Your grandfather was a good man, Audrey, but he was a surgeon. He knew how to cut people open and put them back together. He didn't know the first thing about building a hospital.
She reached into a drawer beside her chair and pulled out a rolled-up document. Yellow with age, fragile at the edges.
Open it.
I unrolled it carefully. It was a blueprint, hand-drawn, meticulous. Every line precise, every measurement exact. In the bottom right corner, a signature, Eleanor M. Whitmore, 1964. I stared at her. You designed the hospital.
I designed it. I found the investors. I negotiated the land purchase. I spent 18 months managing the construction while your grandfather performed surgeries and attended dinner parties.
But why doesn't anyone know this?
Because it was 1965, sweetheart. A woman couldn't own property without her husband's signature. A woman couldn't secure a business loan without a man to co-sign. Everything I built had to go through Harold's name. And over time,
She shrugged.
the story changed. People forgot, or chose to forget.
I looked at the blueprint in my hands. 60 years old, drawn by a woman who was never given credit. Dad doesn't know.
Your father knows exactly what he wants to know. Nothing more.
She paused.
He is like his father that way, taking credit for things he didn't build, dismissing things he doesn't understand.
She reached out and touched my cheek.
You have my eyes, Audrey. Not just the color, the vision. You see structures the way I do. You understand how things hold together. Your father will never appreciate that. But I do.
She pressed something into my palm. A small brass key, old and worn.
Keep this.
She said.
When the time comes, you'll know what it opens.
What does it open? She smiled. That mysterious, knowing smile that I'd seen 1,000 times but never fully understood.
Everything your father thinks he owns.
I wanted to ask more, but she looked tired, fragile, so I tucked the key into my pocket and let her rest. 2 weeks later, Grandma Eleanor's condition improved enough that she could manage with a part-time nurse. I returned to New York. Back to my job. Back to my life. We talked every Sunday. Long conversations about architecture, about life, about the future. She asked about my projects. She remembered every detail. She celebrated every small victory.
You're going to do extraordinary things, she told me during our last conversation. I've always known it. Don't let anyone make you doubt that.
6 months later, Grandma Eleanor passed away in her sleep. She was 82 years old. I got the call at 3 a.m. My mother's voice was flat, businesslike.
The funeral is Saturday. Try to be there on time.
She hung up before I could respond. I sat in my dark apartment, holding the brass key Grandma had given me, and cried until the sun came up. I didn't know it then, but everything I thought I knew about my family was about to be destroyed. The funeral was beautiful. Grandma Eleanor would have hated it. 300 people packed into the largest chapel in Portland. White lilies everywhere, a string quartet playing Vivaldi. My father gave a 30-minute eulogy about the devoted wife and mother who supported the Whitmore legacy from behind the scenes. Behind the scenes. I sat in the front row, grinding my teeth so hard my jaw ached. Not once did he mention her education, her business acumen, her architectural vision, the fact that she had designed the very hospital that bore the Whitmore name. She was reduced to a supporting character in a story that was never about her. After the funeral, my family gathered at my parents' house. The same house I had grown up in. The same house where my achievements were ignored and my presence was tolerated. I stayed for 2 hours. Made small talk with relatives I barely knew. Accepted condolences from people who had no idea who my grandmother really was. Then I left. I didn't say goodbye. Back in New York, I threw myself into work. I took on extra projects. I stayed late. I volunteered for assignments no one else wanted. Anything to fill the hollow space that Grandma Eleanor had left behind. Months passed. The grief didn't fade. It just became quieter. Then 1 year after the funeral, I received an unexpected invitation. The 40th anniversary celebration of Whitmore Memorial Hospital. 400 guests. Black tie. The biggest event in my father's career. A celebration of 4 decades of Whitmore excellence. My mother called personally. This alone should have been a warning sign.
Audrey, we need you there.
Why?
Because it's a family event. Because the mayor will be there. Because the Hendersons and the Carters and the Lawsons will all have their children present. And it would look strange if you weren't.
There it was again. Appearances. Always appearances. I don't know, Mom. I have a lot going on at work.
Your father is going to announce Marcus's promotion. Vice Chief of Medical Affairs. It's a big moment for the family. For all of us.
For all of us. As if I were part of us. As if I had ever been. But something made me say yes. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was masochism. Or maybe some small, stupid part of me still hoped that things could be different. I had news of my own after all. 2 months earlier, I had completed my first solo project. A pediatric health center in Seattle. My design. My vision. From the ground up, the project had won the AIA National Healthcare Design Award, the most prestigious recognition in medical architecture. Out of 312 submissions from across the country, mine was selected as the best. I had a framed photograph of the building in my apartment. I had a copy of the award certificate in my briefcase. I had rehearsed what I would say when I told my parents. Maybe this time would be different. Maybe an award this significant would finally make them see. I flew to Portland on a Friday afternoon. Checked into a hotel downtown. Spent 2 hours getting ready for the gala. I wore a deep emerald dress. Simple but elegant. Professional but striking. I wanted to look like someone who had made something of herself. Someone who deserved to be seen. The ballroom at the Portland Grand Hotel was magnificent. Crystal chandeliers cast golden light across 400 guests in their finest attire. Ice sculptures shaped like caduceus symbols. A 12-piece orchestra playing soft jazz. My father had outdone himself. I arrived at 7:15, exactly on time. My mother intercepted me at the entrance.
There you are.
She looked me up and down.
That dress is a bit much, don't you think? You don't want to draw attention away from your brother.
Classic. Even now. It's nice to see you too, Mom. She air-kissed my cheek and disappeared into the crowd. I wandered through the ballroom looking for familiar faces. Found none. Took a glass of champagne from a passing waiter. Didn't drink it. At 8 o'clock, my father took the stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 40th anniversary celebration of Whitmore Memorial Hospital.
Applause. Cheers. Camera flashes. He spoke for 20 minutes. The history of the hospital. The growth. The innovations. The lives saved. He mentioned my grandfather 12 times. He mentioned himself 23 times. He mentioned Grandma Eleanor once. In passing.
And, of course, my late mother, who supported my father's vision.
Supported. Not created. Not designed. Not built. Supported. I felt the anger rising in my chest like bile. Then came the moment I had been waiting for.
And now, it is my great honor to announce a new chapter in the Whitmore legacy.
My father beamed.
Please join me in congratulating my son, Dr. Marcus Whitmore, on his promotion to Vice Chief of Medical Affairs.
The crowd erupted. Standing ovation. 400 people on their feet. Marcus walked to the stage grinning. My father embraced him. My mother wiped tears from her eyes.
This young man
My father continued his arm around Marcus's shoulders.
represents everything this hospital stands for. Excellence. Dedication. The future of the Whitmore name? I couldn't be prouder.
More applause. I stood at the back of the room, still holding my untouched champagne, still waiting. Maybe after the applause died down. Maybe then he would acknowledge me. Maybe he would say, and my daughter Audrey, who just won a National Architecture Award. Maybe he would say Audrey, who designed a hospital of her own. Maybe he would say my name. Just once. The applause faded. My father smiled at the crowd.
Now let's continue celebrating. To the next 40 years of Whitmore Memorial.
He stepped off the stage. He hadn't mentioned me. Not once. I stood there for 17 seconds. I counted. 17 seconds of realizing once again that I didn't exist to him, that I had never existed. Then a man next to me turned. He was older, distinguished, a colleague of my father's probably. "Excuse me," he said pleasantly. "I heard Richard's daughter won some kind of architecture award recently. Is that true?" Before I could answer, my father appeared. He had heard the question. He laughed. Not a small chuckle. A full, hearty laugh that carried across the nearest tables.
Your brother is a doctor. He saves lives. What are you, Audrey?
He shook his head, still laughing.
Someone who draws pretty pictures of buildings. That's not a real career. That's a hobby.
The people around us laughed, too. Polite, uncomfortable laughter at first. Then louder, because if Richard Whitmore was laughing, it must be funny. I looked at Marcus. He shrugged.
Come on, Dad's just joking. Don't be so sensitive, Audrey.
I looked at my mother. She rolled her eyes.
She always makes everything about herself.
400 people, and not one of them saw me. Then my father did something that broke whatever was left inside me. My father turned to the man who had asked about my award.
You want to know about Audrey's achievement?
He made air quotes with his fingers.
She designed a building. A small clinic somewhere. Anyone can do that. It's not like saving lives.
He patted my shoulder. Condescending. Dismissive.
We love our daughter, of course. But let's be realistic. Some people are meant to lead. Others are meant to support.
Support. The same word he used to describe Grandma Eleanor, the woman who built everything he took credit for. I looked around the room. 400 faces. Some were laughing. Some were looking at me with pity. Some weren't looking at me at all. I searched for one person, just one who might step forward. Who might say actually winning a national award is impressive. Who might defend me. No one did. My eyes drifted to an empty chair at the family table. Grandma Eleanor's chair. The one that would never be filled again. I remembered her words.
You have my eyes, Audrey. Not just the color, the vision.
I remembered the brass key in my purse. The one she gave me 3 months before she died.
When the time comes, you'll know what it opens.
Something shifted inside me. Not broke! Cracked, like an egg finally giving way, like a door finally swinging open. I set down my champagne glass, very slowly, very deliberately. The glass made a small sound against the table. Click.
Audrey, don't make a scene.
I didn't respond. I reached into my purse, felt the cold brass of the key against my fingers.
Audrey,
My father's voice had an edge now.
what are you doing?
I looked at him, really looked at him. For 29 years, I had tried to earn this man's approval. I had achieved. I had excelled. I had bent myself into shapes I didn't recognize, trying to fit into a mold he had designed for someone else. And for what? To be laughed at in front of 400 people. To be compared to my brother and found lacking. To be called a hobby. I'm leaving, I said. My voice was calm, steady. I barely recognized it.
Leaving.
My mother hissed.
The party isn't over. People will talk.
Let them. I turned and walked toward the exit. Behind me, I heard my father's voice, loud enough for the nearby tables to hear, laughing again.
That's Audrey for you. Always so dramatic. She'll be back. She always comes back.
I didn't turn around. I walked through the ballroom, past the ice sculptures, past the orchestra, past 400 people who had watched my father humiliate me and done nothing. I pushed open the doors. The night air hit my face. Cold, clean, real. I stood on the sidewalk for a long moment, breathing, processing. Then I pulled out my phone and booked the first flight back to New York. The next morning I went to a bank. Not just any bank. First National Trust, the oldest private bank in Portland, the one that handled accounts for families like the Whitmores. I approached the front desk. I'd like to access a safe deposit box. The clerk looked at me. Do you have the key? I pulled the brass key from my purse, the one Grandma Eleanor had given me. The clerk examined it, typed something into her computer. Her eyebrows rose slightly. This way, please. She led me through a marble corridor, down a flight of stairs, into a vault that smelled like old money and older secrets. She inserted the key, turned it, pulled out a long metal box. Take your time, she said, and left me alone. I sat down, opened the box. Inside was a manila envelope. Thick, heavy, sealed with red wax and Grandma Eleanor's initials. I broke the seal. Inside were documents, stacks of them, legal papers, property deeds, stock certificates, and a letter. My hands trembled as I unfolded it.
My dearest Audrey, if you're reading this, then I'm gone. And you've finally found what I've been keeping safe for you. Your father doesn't know what I'm about to tell you. Neither does Marcus. And by the time they find out, it will be too late for them to do anything about it. The hospital that bears our family name, the one your father runs, the one he takes credit for, I built it. Every blueprint, every investor meeting, every negotiation. Your grandfather was a surgeon, nothing more. I was the architect, the businesswoman, the one who created something from nothing. But I was a woman in 1965. So I did what I had to do. I put everything in Harold's name. And when Harold died, I put it in a trust that your father believes he controls. He doesn't. I retained 51% ownership, hidden in a separate holding company, protected by layers of legal structures that even Richard's lawyers don't know about. I also built a real estate portfolio over the past 40 years, medical facilities across Oregon and Washington, the land under 3 other hospitals, office buildings that house medical practices. All told, it's worth $47 million. All of it is yours now, Audrey. Not your father's, not Marcus's. Yours. But I have one condition. This inheritance only becomes active when you've proven you can stand on your own. When your annual revenue from your own work, your own company, your own vision reaches $10 million. I don't want to give you everything, sweetheart. I want you to build it the way I did, the way you were always meant to. And when you do, when you've shown the world who you are without their help, then you'll have the power to show them who you've always been. I love you, my darling girl. I've always seen you, even when no one else did. Go build something extraordinary. Love, always. Grandma Eleanor.
I read the letter once, twice, 3 times. The words didn't change. I sat in that vault for an hour, crying, laughing, processing. Grandma Eleanor hadn't just seen me. She had planned for me. She had believed in me enough to create a path. a challenge, a future. And she had given me the one thing my father never could, a chance to prove myself. Not to him, not to my mother, not to Marcus, to myself. I wiped my tears, gathered the documents, walked out of the bank. The sun was setting over Portland, golden light on the river, the city where I had always felt invisible, but not anymore. I knew what I had to do. What they didn't know was that I had already made my move, and there was no going back. I quit my job the following Monday. My boss thought I was insane. You're walking away from a 6-figure salary in this economy. But I knew something he didn't. I had a deadline, a condition to meet, and I couldn't meet it working for someone else. I emptied my savings account. $47,000. Everything I had earned in 6 years of working, saving, sacrificing. I rented a tiny office in Brooklyn. 400 square feet. No windows. A desk I bought at a thrift store for $60. A laptop that was 3 years old. And I started Whitmore Design Group. The irony of using my family name wasn't lost on me. But I didn't choose it for them. I chose it for Grandma Eleanor, the woman who had built the original Whitmore legacy, the woman whose name had been erased from her own story. This time, the Whitmore name would mean something different. The first year was brutal. I worked 18-hour days. I pitched to anyone who would listen. I took on projects no one else wanted. Small clinics, rural health centers, facilities with budgets so tight, I had to design around every dollar. I heard no 412 times. I counted. But I also heard yes. First, a small urgent care facility in New Jersey. Budget $2.3 million. My fee $42,000. Then a rehabilitation center in Connecticut. Budget $5 million. My fee $78,000. Then a pediatric clinic in Massachusetts. Budget $8 million. My fee $120,000. Each project was a stepping stone. Each client became a reference. Each completed building became proof that I knew what I was doing. By the end of year 1, my revenue was $650,000. Not enough. Not even close. But I wasn't done. Year 2, I changed my strategy. I stopped competing with the big firms for the big projects. Instead, I carved out a niche. Medical facilities, hospitals, health centers, the exact buildings my grandmother had pioneered 60 years ago. I studied everything she had done, her blueprints, her notes, her approach to integrating patient comfort with medical efficiency. I combined her philosophy with modern technology, sustainable materials, healing-centered design spaces that reduced patient stress and improved outcomes. I published 3 articles in Architectural Digest. I spoke at 2 national conferences. I became known as the architect who understood healthcare, not just the buildings, but the people inside them. The projects got bigger. A mental health facility in Philadelphia. Budget $18 million. My fee $270,000. A women's health center in Chicago. Budget $22 million. My fee $330,000. A cancer treatment center in Boston. Budget $35 million. My fee $525,000. By the end of year 2, my revenue was $4.2 million. Closer, but still not there. I pushed harder. I hired my first employee, then my second, then my 5th, then my 10th. I moved to a real office. 1,200 square feet, windows, natural light, a conference room where I could meet with clients without apologizing for the space. I stopped eating ramen for dinner, started sleeping more than 4 hours a night, began to feel like a person instead of a machine. And somewhere in the chaos, I met Daniel. He was a corporate lawyer specializing in healthcare mergers. We met at a conference in San Francisco. He approached me after my keynote speech. "That was impressive," he said. "The way you talked about healing spaces. I've never heard anyone describe architecture like that. Most people just see walls," I said, echoing Grandma Eleanor's words from decades ago. "I don't." He smiled. "I see someone who understands that buildings aren't just structures. They're experiences." We talked for 3 hours that night. Then we talked the next day. Then the day after. Daniel was different from anyone I had ever known. He didn't care about my family name. He didn't compare me to my brother. He didn't make me feel small. He asked questions. He listened. He remembered every detail. "Your grandmother sounds extraordinary," he said one evening after I had told him about Eleanor. "She must have been proud of you." "She was." I smiled. "She's the reason I'm doing any of this. Then let's make sure you finish what she started." With Daniel's support, I pushed into year 3. The projects grew larger. The reputation grew stronger. The revenue grew faster. A regional hospital in Denver. Budget $58 million. My fee $870,000. A children's hospital in Seattle. Budget $75 million. My fee $1.1 million. A medical campus in Phoenix. Budget $90 million. My fee $1.3 million. 7 hospitals in 3 years. All of them using Grandma Eleanor's design philosophy. All of them bearing my signature. At the end of year 3, I called my accountant. What's our annual revenue? I heard papers shuffling. Calculator clicking. $12.4 million. $12.4 million. I had done it. I had met Grandma Eleanor's condition. Not with my family's help. Not with my father's approval. Not with Marcus's shadow hanging over me. On my own. With my own hands. My own vision. My own name. I sat in my corner office, the one with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Central Park, and let the tears fall. I did it, Grandma, I whispered. I built something. Just like you. That same week, Forbes featured me in their 30 Under 30 issue. The headline read Audrey Whitmore, the architect redesigning healthcare. The article mentioned my award-winning projects, my innovative approach, my company's rapid growth. It didn't mention my father, or Marcus, or the hospital, where I was never welcome. For the first time in my life, I existed outside their shadow. I was enough. Just me. Meanwhile, back in Portland, things were different. I heard through distant relatives, the ones who occasionally reached out with cautious kindness, that Whitmore Memorial was struggling. Patient numbers were down. The building was outdated. They needed a massive renovation, but the funds weren't there. Marcus had been suspended for 6 months. A malpractice investigation. Something about negligence during a routine procedure. The golden boy had finally tarnished. My father was scrambling, making calls, seeking investors, trying to save the hospital he believed he had built. He had no idea what was coming. Then one morning my phone rang. It was a lawyer, and he had news about Grandma Eleanor's estate that even I hadn't known about. The lawyer's name was Theodore Graham, 82 years old, silver hair, a voice like old whiskey and leather-bound books. He had been Grandma Eleanor's personal attorney for 47 years. Miss Whitmore, he said over the phone, I need to see you in person. There are matters regarding your grandmother's estate that require your immediate attention. I thought I received everything when I met the revenue condition. You received the documents in the safe deposit box. But that was only the first layer. He paused. Your grandmother was a very careful woman. She left instructions that certain information should only be revealed after you had proven yourself. You've done that now. So, there's more. I flew to Portland the next day. Theodore's office was in a historic building downtown. Dark wood, antique furniture, the kind of place where secrets had been kept for generations. He greeted me at the door himself, led me to a private conference room, closed the door. Before we begin, he said, I want you to understand something. Your grandmother spent 40 years preparing for this moment. Everything she did, every investment, every legal structure, every hidden clause, was designed to protect you and what you would build. He slid a folder across the table. This is the complete picture of Eleanor Whitmore's estate. I opened the folder. The first page was a summary. My eyes scanned the numbers, and then stopped. This can't be right. Theodore smiled, the kind of smile that held decades of satisfaction. It's right. Every dollar, every property, every share. I read the summary again. Whitmore Memorial Hospital, 51% ownership held in the Eleanor M. Whitmore Trust. Real estate holdings, 14 medical facilities across Oregon, Washington, and California. Land assets, the property beneath 3 major hospitals, leased back to the operating companies. Total estimated value, $47 million. And all of it, every single asset, was now mine. Your father believes he owns the hospital, Theodore explained. He controls the day-to-day operations. He makes the decisions, but the actual ownership, the majority stake, that has always belonged to your grandmother. And now it belongs to you. He doesn't know. He knows there's a family trust. He's always assumed he was the primary beneficiary. But your grandmother structured everything through a separate holding company. The ownership certificates are not in his name. They never were. I sat back in my chair. $47 million. Controlling interest in the hospital where my father had humiliated me. The building my grandmother had designed. The legacy she'd created. The name that had been stolen from her. All of it. Mine. There's one more thing, Theodore said. He pulled out an envelope. Yellowed with age. My grandmother's handwriting on the front. For Audrey. to be opened when she's ready to take what's hers. I broke the seal. Inside was a single sheet of paper.
My dearest Audrey, if Theodore is giving you this letter, then you've done it. You've built something extraordinary on your own, without them. I knew you would. Now comes the hard part. You have the power to destroy your father, to take everything he thinks he owns, to humiliate him the way he humiliated you. But I'm asking you not to, not because he deserves mercy. He doesn't. But because you deserve peace. Revenge is a fire, sweetheart. It burns hot, but it burns you too. What I want for you is something better, something lasting. Use what I've given you. Take control of the hospital. Rename it if you wish. I would be honored if you did. But don't let anger drive your decisions. Lead with wisdom, with vision, with the clarity that comes from knowing exactly who you are. You are not your father's daughter. You are mine. Now go show them what a Whitmore woman can really do. All my love forever. Grandma Eleanor.
I read the letter 3 times. Each time the words settled deeper. She wasn't asking me to forgive. She wasn't asking me to forget. She was asking me to be bigger than they were. To lead, not to destroy. I folded the letter carefully, placed it back in the envelope. What do I do now? I asked Theodore. That's entirely up to you. You can maintain the current arrangement. Let your father continue running the hospital without knowing who really owns it. Or, he leaned forward, you can call a board meeting. Introduce yourself as the new majority shareholder and take your seat at the head of the table. I thought about my father, laughing at me in front of 400 people. I thought about my mother, rolling her eyes.
She always makes everything about herself.
I thought about Marcus, shrugging.
Don't be so sensitive.
I thought about every birthday forgotten, every achievement ignored, every time I was made to feel invisible. And I thought about Grandma Eleanor, designing a hospital that would bear someone else's name, building an empire that would be credited to men who did nothing, watching her own son dismiss her granddaughter the same way she had been dismissed. She had waited 60 years for this moment, and now it was mine. I looked at Theodore. Schedule a board meeting. Monday morning, 10 o'clock. The board doesn't know you exist. They will. Theodore's eyes crinkled with something that looked like pride. Your grandmother would be pleased. I flew back to New York that night, but I didn't sleep. I sat in my apartment looking at the documents, the ownership certificates, the property deeds, the letter from Grandma Eleanor, $47 million, controlling interest in a hospital, the power to reshape my family's legacy. I picked up my phone, called Daniel. It happened, I said. The inheritance. It's real. It's more than I ever imagined. What are you going to do? I looked out the window. The city lights of Manhattan sparkled like scattered diamonds. I'm going to take back what was stolen. Not just from me, from her and your father. I paused. He's going to learn what it feels like to be invisible. Daniel was quiet for a moment. Then, whatever you decide, I'm with you. All the way. I know. I smiled. That's why I'm going to marry you someday. He laughed. Warm. Real. Is that a proposal? It's a promise. I hung up. Looked at the documents one more time. Monday was 3 days away. 3 days until I walked into that boardroom. 3 days until my father discovered that everything he thought he owned belonged to me. I scheduled a board meeting for the following Monday. My father had no idea I'd be walking through those doors. As the new majority owner, Monday morning, 10 o'clock. The boardroom of Whitmore Memorial Hospital was on the 7th floor. Corner office. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Portland. I had never been inside this room before. In 29 years of being Richard Whitmore's daughter, I had never been invited to a single board meeting. Never been consulted on a single decision. Never been acknowledged as part of the Whitmore legacy. That was about to change. I wore a charcoal gray suit. Simple. Professional. Powerful. My grandmother's pearl earrings, the ones she had left me in her personal effects. And the brass key on a chain around my neck hidden beneath my blouse. I arrived at 9:45. Walked through the lobby. Past my grandfather's portrait. Past my father's portrait. No portrait of Eleanor. Not anywhere. Not yet. The receptionist looked up. Can I help you? I'm here for the board meeting. She frowned, checked her list. I don't see any visitors scheduled. I'm not a visitor. I smiled. I'm the new majority shareholder. Her eyes widened. Before she could respond, I walked past her toward the elevators. The boardroom doors were heavy oak, polished brass handles. I could hear voices inside. My father's voice, loud and confident, dominating the conversation. I pushed open the doors. 12 faces turned toward me. My father sat at the head of the table. To his right, Marcus. To his left, the hospital's chief financial officer. Around the table board, members I had never met, doctors, administrators, investors. And at the far end, an empty chair. My father's expression shifted from confusion to annoyance.
Audrey, what are you doing here? This is a private meeting.
I walked to the empty chair, pulled it out, sat down. I know I said calmly. I called it. Silence.
Marcus laughed nervously. Called it, Audrey, you can't just walk into a board meeting. You don't have any authority here.
I opened my briefcase, pulled out a folder, slid it across the table toward my father. Actually, I do. He stared at the folder like it might bite him.
What is this?
Open it. He hesitated, then flipped it open. I watched his face as he read. First confusion, then disbelief, then something I had never seen before in Richard Whitmore's face. Fear.
This is impossible. His voice was barely a whisper. Mother would never...
She would, and she did. I kept my voice steady, because she saw what you refused to see. He looked up at me. His hands were shaking.
You're claiming you own 51% of this hospital as a...
I'm not claiming anything. Those are the legal documents, verified by your own attorneys as of this morning. The Eleanor M. Whitmore Trust has held majority ownership since 1973. Grandma transferred it to me upon meeting certain conditions. Those conditions have been met. The room was silent. One of the board members, an older woman with silver hair, leaned forward. Is this true, Richard? My father didn't answer. He was still staring at the documents.
Marcus grabbed the folder, scanned the pages. His face went pale. This is ridiculous. His voice cracked. You can't run a hospital. You draw buildings.
I turned to face him. I designed them. I've designed 7 hospitals in the past 3 years, including the Cascade Children's Medical Center in Seattle, which won the AIA National Healthcare Design Award. I paused. What have you designed, Marcus? Besides excuses. He opened his mouth, closed it, looked at our father.
My father found his voice. Harsh. Defensive. Even if this is legitimate, which I doubt, you can't just walk in here and take over. I've run this hospital for 22 years. I built this institution.
No. My voice was ice. Grandma Eleanor built this institution. She designed the original building. She secured the investors. She managed the construction. You just inherited it and took credit.
That's a lie.
I pulled out another document. The blueprint from 1964. Eleanor M. Whitmore's signature in the corner. Is it? My father stared at the blueprint. His face drained of color. I found this in Grandma's papers, along with investor correspondence, construction contracts, all signed by her, all attributed to grandfather in the official history. I leaned forward. She built everything, and you erased her, just like you tried to erase me. The boardroom was completely silent. One of the members cleared his throat. Miss Whitmore, what exactly are you proposing? I stood, walked to the window, looked out at the city my grandmother had helped build. First, I'm changing the name. This hospital will no longer be called Whitmore Memorial. It will be Eleanor Memorial Hospital, named after the woman who actually created it.
My father made a choking sound. You can't.
I can. I own 51%. The board answers to the shareholders, and the majority shareholder is me. I turned back to face the room. Second, I'm restructuring the leadership. My father will remain as chief executive officer for now, but he will report to the board, and the board will report to me. I looked at Marcus. As for my brother, he will be removed from all administrative positions. He will return to clinical duties as a staff physician. Nothing more.
You can't do this to me. Marcus's voice was shrill. I'm the vice chief of medical affairs.
You were. Now you're a doctor. Regular doctor. No title. No corner office. No special treatment. I paused. Consider it a chance to actually earn something for once. My mother's voice came from the doorway. I turned. She must have been called when I arrived. Her face was white, twisted with fury.
How could you do this to your father, to your family?
I looked at her, the woman who had thrown my competition entry in the trash, who had called my career a hobby, who had never once told me she was proud. I didn't do anything to him. I kept my voice calm. Grandma did. She just waited until I was strong enough to carry it.
This is betrayal, after everything we've done for you.
What have you done for me? The words came out quiet, more sad than angry. Name one thing, one single thing you've done that wasn't about Marcus, about appearances, about yourselves. She opened her mouth, closed it. For the first time in my life, my mother had nothing to say. I gathered my documents, looked around the room. The transition begins immediately. I expect full cooperation from everyone present. Any questions can be directed to my attorney, Theodore Graham. I walked toward the door, paused beside my father. He looked broken, smaller than I had ever seen him. I'm not firing you, I said quietly, because unlike you, I don't throw away family. But you will answer to the board, and the board answers to me. I walked out of the room. Behind me, silence. For the first time in my life, I wasn't the invisible daughter. I was the one they couldn't ignore. That was 18 months ago. Today, Eleanor Memorial Hospital stands as one of the most innovative healthcare facilities in the Pacific Northwest. I redesigned the main entrance, added a healing garden in the courtyard, installed floor-to-ceiling windows in the patient rooms so that every person recovering inside could see the sky, the trees, the world waiting for them. Above the front doors, a new sign. Elegant bronze letters against white marble. Eleanor Memorial Hospital. Founded by Eleanor M. Whitmore, 1965. Beneath it, a smaller plaque. The one I had commissioned personally. For the woman who built everything and asked for nothing. Your vision lives on. Every time I walk through those doors, I think of her. The grandmother who saw me when no one else did. Who planned for decades to give me this chance. Who believed in me before I believed in myself. I split my time between New York and Portland now. 3 days in Manhattan, running Whitmore Design Group. 4 days in Portland, overseeing the hospital's transformation. The company has grown beyond anything I imagined. 23 employees. Offices in New York and Seattle. 12 hospitals designed in 4 years. Revenue last year, $18.6 million. Forbes did another feature on me. This time the headline read, Audrey Whitmore, the woman rebuilding healthcare one hospital at a time. They asked about my family. I kept my answers brief. My grandmother was my greatest inspiration. Everything I've built is because of her. I didn't mention my father, or Marcus, or the boardroom confrontation that had made me the most talked about person in Portland's medical community. Some stories aren't for public consumption. Daniel proposed 6 months ago. On the rooftop of our Manhattan apartment, the city lights sparkling below us. A ring that had belonged to his grandmother, a woman who, like mine, had been underestimated her whole life. I want to build a life with you, he said. A real one, based on respect, on partnership, on seeing each other. I said yes before he finished the sentence. We're getting married next spring, in the healing garden at Eleanor Memorial Hospital, surrounded by the flowers I planted in my grandmother's memory. It feels right, starting our life together in the place she created. As for my family, it's complicated. It always will be. My father still runs the hospital's daily operations. He's quieter now. The arrogance that once defined him has faded into something closer to resignation. He does his job. He follows the board's decisions. He no longer makes speeches about the Whitmore legacy. We don't talk much. When we do, it's professional, polite, distant. He has never apologized. Not for the years of dismissal. Not for the public humiliation. Not for laughing at me in front of 400 people. I don't think he ever will. And I've made peace with that. Some wounds don't need apologies. They just need acknowledgement. The acknowledgement came when he signed the documents accepting my ownership. When he watched the old sign come down and the new one go up. When he sat in board meetings where his daughter, the one who drew pretty pictures, made the final decisions. That was enough. It had to be. Marcus is different. For the first time in his life, he has to prove himself without special treatment. No fast-track promotions. No protected positions. No one covering for his mistakes. It's been hard for him. I can see it in his face when we pass in the hallways. The confusion. The resentment. The slow, painful realization that he was never as exceptional as everyone told him he was. Last month, he approached me in the parking lot.
Audrey, can we talk?
I stopped. Waited. He looked tired. Older than 33.
I've been thinking about everything, about how things were when we were kids.
He paused. Swallowed.
I never realized how bad it was for you. I thought that's how families worked.
It wasn't how families should work.
I know that now.
He looked at the ground.
I'm not asking you to forgive me. I know I don't deserve that, but I wanted you to know I'm trying to be different, to be better.
I studied his face, looking for the arrogance, the dismissal, the cruelty that had defined our relationship for 29 years. I didn't find it. That's a start, I said finally. But words aren't enough, Marcus. Show me. Show everyone. Earn your place here instead of expecting it to be given to you. He nodded. Slowly.
I will.
He walked away. I watched him go. I don't know if he'll change. People rarely do. But for the first time, he's being forced to try. And maybe that's enough. My mother calls sometimes. Weekly at first. Now monthly. The conversations are awkward. Surface level. She asks about the weather in New York. About the wedding plans. About whether I'm eating enough. She never mentions the hospital. Never acknowledges what I've accomplished. Never says the words I spent my whole life wanting to hear. But she calls. At something? Last week she said something unexpected.
Your grandmother would be proud of you, Audrey. I hope you know that.
I waited for the qualifier. The subtle dig. The backhanded compliment. It didn't come. Thank you, Mom. Silence. Then.
I'll let you go. Talk soon.
She hung up. It wasn't much, but it was more than she'd ever given me before. Maybe that's what healing looks like. Not dramatic reconciliations. Not tearful apologies. Just small moments of recognition. Tiny cracks in walls that took decades to build. I don't need their love anymore. I don't need their approval. But I'm learning to accept whatever small pieces they're capable of giving. 2 nights ago, I stood in the healing garden at Eleanor Memorial. The sun was setting. The flowers were blooming. The fountain Grandma had designed in the original blueprints, the one that had been removed decades ago, was flowing again. I had rebuilt it exactly as she had envisioned. Water cascading over smooth stones. The sound of peace in a place of healing. I sat on the bench beside it. Closed my eyes. I did it, Grandma, I whispered. I built something, just like you asked. The wind stirred the flowers. Soft. Gentle. Almost like an answer. I opened my eyes. Looked up at the hospital. My hospital now. Her hospital finally acknowledged. For the first time in my life, I felt complete peace. Not because I had won. Not because my father had lost. But because I finally understood something Grandma Eleanor had known all along. My worth was never determined by who saw it. It was determined by me. I stood up. Brushed off my dress. Walked back inside. There was work to do. Hospitals to design. Lives to improve. A legacy to build. Not for the Whitmore name. For Eleanor, for myself, and for every invisible daughter who was told she would never be enough. We are enough. We always were. Your worth isn't determined by who sees it. Some people will never see your value not because you lack it, but because they're not looking. Stop waiting for them. See it yourself. Build it yourself. And when the time comes, the right people will notice. Thank you so much for staying with me until the end. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe. I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever had to set a boundary with family? How did it change your life? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more stories like this, check out the video in the description. Until next time, take care of yourself. You deserve it.